everyone. My name is Nick Suter, and this is Overtime. We have learned, and this isn't unfortunate. It's not breaking. We used breaking really to sort of get people's attention because it was an oversight and it needed to be covered. We learned that on Friday, which is historically they call it the take out the trash day for news. It's the day that they publish news that they don't want anyone to talk about because everyone wants to go home, everyone wants to do whatever it is they're going to do for the weekend, and anyone who wants to do anything about it really won't have an opportunity to until Monday. So anything that you think is going to be, shall we say, controversial, you put out on Friday, late Friday night, and nobody knows about. This bill was introduced on Friday. We just became aware of it now. It's House Resolution 899 of the 119th Congress. The resolution titled to terminate the Department of Education. Now, it has been introduced by Representative Massey Thomas. Now, it's been introduced into the Committee on Education and Workforce. That committee is going to vote on it. At this point, the irony being that this is the Education Committee. You're not going to need an Education Committee if there's no Education Department. Having said that, I don't think anyone here is going to lose their job. Regardless, my suspicion is that this bill will pass the committee. It would then go on to the Congress, larger House, and then it would also go on to the Senate. If it passes Congress, it would go on to Trump for his signature. Trump will almost certainly sign it as a part of his attempt to reduce the size of government. The Department of Education is not particularly well understood. I was a teacher in one of the local districts. We had a difficult relationship with the Department of Education. This is because the Department of Education interfered with our ability to teach and oftentimes seemed to be run by people who knew nothing about teaching. We found much of our time was spent trying to get around requirements of the Department of Education that were making our jobs harder. Much of the core curriculum that had been passed was not effective, and so it was a difficult relationship, but most teachers recognized that we needed a Department of Education. Why? Well, because there were areas that needed help getting funding. Inner city most schools are funded by property taxes. Inner city schools, the property values are very low. They don't make a lot of money, so they don't have very good schools. And the states oftentimes are not stepping up, and it is the responsibility of the entire country, in my view, to make sure that its citizens are well educated. The troubles we're facing now are in large part due to a lack of education and even in some cases basic reasoning skills. That's a reason I run an educational program, to be quite honest with you. So we all saw it as a bit of a necessary evil. I don't think there's any teacher who doesn't want significant improvements, and I mean significant, in the Department of Education, but not many teachers that I knew thought it should be eliminated entirely. Eliminating it doesn't mean that nobody's going to get an education. It just does what the right has been saying it's going to do and has been doing for the last 8 years, which is passing as much as it can back to the states. If you live in a wealthy state, you will probably have a better educational system. If you don't, it's going to be a lot harder to get support. Certainly you won't get any support from the federal government. I would like to point out that in my state, for every dollar that we give the federal government, we get 70 cents back. Texas, last I checked, for every dollar that they sent the federal government, they got about $1.35 back. $1.35. They're getting that from me and from other states. And that is to help them with education and roads and various other things, because they're not making enough money to do it all themselves. There are plenty of states that aren't. I'm actually perfectly fine with that, because that's what you do when you live in one country. I'm aware, as Andrew would probably have a different perspective, and we'll look forward to discussing it with him on Monday night, 8 p.m. when we do downtime then. But having said that, given that this is a cornerstone of the Republican platform and that they've been trying to do this for quite some time, the fact that this is a bill that's just been introduced may or may not be noteworthy under normal circumstances, but given that it is the removal of the termination of the termination of the Department of Education, and given the fact that I think there is a significant chance that this bill would be successful, I felt we would be derelict if we did not notify you as soon as we became aware of this bill, despite the fact that this actually is not breaking news. It was dropped on Friday, and none of us picked up on it until recently. So now that we're aware, we're letting you know it's House Resolution 899. I have linked it in the description. As of this moment, a summary is not available. The text is not available. It is literally has just been introduced. So, and there isn't even a summary, so you can't really see what it says. But I think the title makes it reasonably clear, so I think we know what to expect. We decided at this point it would probably be best to notify you all so that you can keep an eye out for it. We're not going to just update as this thing goes on. I'm sure if and when it passes, we will cover it, but we thought you should be aware so you could keep an eye out as the week progresses and see what people say about it. Nonetheless, House Resolution 899 calling to terminate the Federal Department of Education has been introduced into committee, and I don't see any reason. I'm not an expert on where the House and Senate stands right now, but I don't see a particular reason why we wouldn't expect it to pass. So that's it. Dunk on you, $20. This administration is insane. Well, what's a little scary about this is this was actually introduced, of course, by a congressman, but the far-right congressman can get there. And this is, by the way, this has been on the Republican platform, so even sort of centrist Republicans have been for the elimination of the Department of Education on the grounds that the states can do it better and better know what their needs are. The problem with that is I think you end up with a lot more religious education and non-fact-based education in some states than is healthy for a country. So I'm not a fan of the Department of Education. I'm genuinely not. I did not like the mandates that they put on me and my colleagues when I was teaching. Removing it is not the solution. The removing it creates more problems for this country than it solves. Nonetheless, that's what the bill is. Thank you, Dunk on You, once again for your continued support and $20. And comment was made earlier. Hope that I don't plan on getting any sleep over the next 4 years. I hope that's not a joke, but we'll see. Thank you all for your time, and we will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Downtime with Azandering, where we're going to talk about the psychological effects of everything shifting below our feet. And both his and my worldview completely upended. A liberal, conservative, and we can finally agree on one thing, which is neither of us really saw this coming or or have been able to process it as we'd like. So tomorrow downtime, we'll have that conversation, and I hope you guys will join us for that. Have a good night.